Hello, you fine ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great day so far. If you're not, I hope your day gets better. Make the most of your day. Remember that. Always make the most of your day and chase your dreams. Anyways, wow. Today, we are going over some cool things that you can do with the ion abilities and weapons in this game. Star Wars Battlefront, that's what we're playing. In case you had no idea, that is what we're playing. You're welcome. And if you're wondering, what is the point of ion? I have no idea what ion is. Well, it's basically for anything electronical, circuital, because those are words. Circuital is probably not a word, actually. Electronical, that might not also be a word. Wow. I may have just hit you guys with the old one too. Anyways, that means anything that is a vehicle or a turret. That could be one of those big laser turbo turrets on the Sullust maps, or it could just be infantry turrets or the Viper turret thing, that thing that flies around. The probe droids, as I call them. Those are also affected by ion, and that's what ion is. So don't go using it against infantry, because it doesn't really work, except for the one thing that definitely does work against infantry, the ion disruptor, which is the pickup that you can get on the battlefield, and it's pretty much the best ion ability in the whole game, and possibly even better than the rocket launcher, because it's capable of destroying pretty much anything on the battlefield in one hit, even an AT-ST, which is pretty crazy. It also is really effective against infantry, which is why I say it might even be better than the rocket launcher. Although it takes a bit of time to charge up, its range is crazy, and it has a pretty big pool of damage once it hits something. It's going to have that nice area of effect, and it's going to do a lot of damage to anything electronic, of course, because it is an ion ability, but it's also going to do amazing damage to infantry. Now, of course, the rocket launcher does have a tracking system for vehicles, but you don't really need that with the ion disruptor because it shoots so fast and it is quite accurate that it's pretty viable against pretty much anything. Moving on, we have the ion torpedo, which does okay damage against vehicles. Now, the ion torpedo is kind of the classic ion ability. That's what I've been using a lot lately, just to make this video, of course, but I've been using that a lot to make this video. Basically, it can lock on to any turret or vehicle and fire at it. Now, to an AT-ST, unfortunately, it does not do a lot of damage. It does like 20 damage, which is really not that significant. And because it takes so long to lock onto a target, and it takes a while to refresh because it's a star card, you're going to have to wait a long time before you can actually destroy an AT-ST. So it's not great against those. However, it does do 40 damage a shot to any flying vehicle, which is a lot better. 40 damage, if the flying vehicle is already damaged, then that 40 damage could actually do a lot to it. I've been using the ion torpedo for a while, and I've never once gotten a vehicle kill with it, because it just takes a long time to lock on, and it seems every time the star card is refreshed and ready to go, the vehicle is already destroyed. Like, I'm locking on, and then boom, vehicle's gone. That's a waste, you know? So it's not great from my personal experience. It is not amazing, and because it takes such a long time to lock on, the starfighters usually have enough time to either just dodge the missile or just run away from it, because the missile does not actually shoot that fast, and the ships don't even need to maneuver to get out of its way. They just need to fly faster than it, and they can do that. So it's not the greatest thing, but in certain scenarios it can do a lot. Now, of course, the great thing about this is against turrets. When you see a turret, even if it's one of those turbo laser ones, just aim at it. The turret's not going to move or maneuver out of the way of the ion torpedo. So, of course, that gives you an advantage. And all you have to do, lock onto the turret, fire, and it will destroy it in one hit. Now, the turbo lasers on Sullust are not destroyed in one hit, unfortunately. They have a lot more shield than that, so it's not as effective against those, but it can still do a lot of damage. Now, of course, the ion grenade does not have the range of the ion torpedo. However, it compensates for that by doing more damage. Instead of doing 20 damage to an AT-ST, it does 40. And I'm pretty sure it can one-hit kill a flying vehicle, but odds are you're not going to have a lot of opportunities to hit a flying vehicle with the ion grenade. Now, of course, against turrets, as you might expect, this does destroy them quite quickly. I'm not sure how it does against the turbo lasers, but I'm guessing it does quite a bit of damage. And then, of course, it does damage infantry, though it's not as effective as a thermal detonator. Then we have the Ion Neutralizer, which I have yet to acquire, because you do need to get 3 kills with the Ion Torpedo. I have yet to get any. So the Ion Neutralizer, haven't acquired it yet, but I know that it is like an EMP blast. So it's like a mini Ion Disruptor, except not as powerful. It charges up like it, it fires like it, but when it hits a vehicle, instead of doing a ton of damage, it disables it. So against an ATST, the ATST won't be able to move or shoot, and against a flying vehicle, it can actually be really effective because you will not be able to control the flying vehicle, and it will probably just fly straight into the ground if it was aiming downwards. So it can be super effective against starfighters, but it's not as effective against other things. Then of course against cloud cars, it does deal enough damage to kill it in one shot, I think, because cloud cars pretty weak. They're not the greatest starfighters out there. So I think they can be destroyed in one hit by an Ion Neutralizer, which makes it very, very effective against those. And of course against turrets, I'm sure it does sufficient damage to destroy them. That is what I expect. Then we have the Ion Shot Charge card, which just damages everything just like all the other Ion abilities. Now of course, when you're using the Ion Shot Charge card, your damage against everything which is affected by Ion abilities is increased. However, your damage against infantry is very much decreased, just to balance it out, I guess. So when you have the Ion Shot active, you do not deal as much damage to other players. If everyone, or almost everyone, in a Walker Assault match is using any sort of Ion ability, and you're going up against those ATSTs, those are going to be extremely effective. So I really suggest, when playing Walker Assault, to carry around 1 or 2 Ion abilities or weapons, just so that you can really take full advantage of the battlefield and take out those AT-ATs quicker. Now vehicle turrets, which are another pickup in this game, also have Ion damage, so those are very effective against vehicles, as it says in their name. Now there's a lot of different loadouts that you can try out if you want to have a more Ion based. I would not suggest going with all Ion abilities, however. That's what I did to get a lot of this footage, and it didn't work great. I really did not end up doing too well. I would sit there with the Ion Torpedo and just be staring at the skies for a very long time looking for any starfighters, and then often I wouldn't really find any or wouldn't be able to hit them because they would maneuver or run away from it. So I spent a lot of my time with the Ion Torpedo just looking up into the skies, not paying attention to the battle, and I got wrecked. So definitely I would suggest having some Ion abilities in moderation. Don't just fill your loadout up with Ion abilities that you can't use properly against infantry. Definitely have a mix so that if you do come into contact with a vehicle or a turret, you're there and you're equipped, but you can also fight infantry very well. Anyways, that is all I have to say. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. This was definitely a video that went back to the roots of BoringHen, I would say, and away from the more comedy side of things that I'm doing these days. So let me know how you liked it. Anyways, that's all for today. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a great day. Goodbye.